guys. Do you hear me? Yeah, I can hear myself. So I know everyone is waiting for lunch, so my presentation will be pretty quick. I'm going to talk about data, and particularly big data and maps. How can you show data in maps? Like I said, my name is Szymon Pifczyk. I'm a map maker, and I'm not quite a journalist. I mean, my background is in statistics, and I only became a journalist by surprise, because I actually have three works. I run a Facebook page called Cartographic Extremalna. It's the one in the middle. It's a Facebook page devoted totally to maps. There is no other things than maps. And it has become like a really vibrant community. It has over 50,000 followers right now, and I'm really happy that people are willing to see maps. And from Cartographic Extremalna, I was running this profile for a bit, and Vadim Makarenko of Gazeta Wyborcza, which is the leading liberal daily in Poland, he contacted me because he was starting the first data journalist outlet in Poland called Big Data. It's the one on the left, I think. No, it's the one on the right, I'm sorry. And he contacted me and he said, we need someone who makes maps. Would you like to join? And I said, yeah, but I have no journalist background. And he said, it's okay, we'll teach you everything. And the other fun thing is that I got my regular job, my job at consulting company PwC, the same way, through my Facebook profile, and I do the same thing. I do maps in all of my jobs. So why did I start making maps? Because like I said, my background is in statistics. It's not in making maps. I'm not a cartographer by trade. So there is a guy in America who says everything American is the best, and the rest of the world, we could just die and no one would notice. And in this case, he's actually kind of right, because maps, which are map making in the modern age, like now, it all comes from America. So once I was browsing the internet, and I came up to this website by William Rankin. He's a history professor at the University of Yale, I think. But he also makes maps. And he had this interesting idea of the income donut. So basically he says the American cities are built this way, that you have the downtown where all the offices are, all the skyscrapers and stuff. Then you have the bad districts where poor people live. And then you have the suburbs where the rich people live. And he wanted to check that hypothesis. So he made a map. And you can see that map right here. It's a map. It shows poor areas in blue and rich areas in pink, let's say. And as you can see in New York metropolitan area, it actually turns out true. There's this downtown, then you have the poorer districts, and then you have the richer districts. So it was enlightening to me how you can show such a complicated process on a map. But there is also another map, and this one is actually kind of sad, because I don't know if you're familiar with Detroit. It's a city in America where all the car companies are, and it has a very complicated history. And one of the aspects of its history is the, let's say, race problems. Detroit is a majorly African-American city, and the suburbs of Detroit are filled with white people. And you can see a sharp line in the blue and the pink area. Pinks are whites, blues are African-Americans. And this sharp line is the 8th mile. It's a road that divides Detroit from its suburbs. You may notice that Eminem, the American rapper, he wrote a song about this 8th mile, and there's also a film about this 8th mile, because it's such a place that divides the city from the suburbs, and the divide is so prominent on this map that you can literally not believe it. Like, there's only African Americans on one side and only white people on the other side, and it really struck me. And I wouldn't see it on the chart, because the chart wouldn't tell me that. But not all the good things come from America. For example, in Poland, we have this division between Western and Eastern Poland. And this is a fun map showing the results of 2007 parliament elections. You can see the more liberal party in orange and the more conservative one in blue. And the black outline is the borders of the German Empire before the First World War. So a really long time ago. And as you can see, it's still, this division is somewhere still in the heads of people. So why are my maps great? I have prepared a few examples of the maps I made that show why our maps are great, why are they better than charts or better than text. So, for example, maps can show what spreadsheets hide and what charts hide. So this is a map of old people in Poland. Basically, what percentages of old people, what percentage are old people in the villages of Poland. And the red areas is where old people are, let's say, a significant part of population, even the majority. And the blue areas, it is where it is the reverse. And you may notice that it follows the same pattern as the election. There is this part on the left, on the right, the former Russian part of Poland. It's mostly old, while the western part is mostly young. Then making maps is free, and sometimes you even get paid for it, not by your own media outlet, but by other firms. And for example, we had a partner from the real estate market, a site which aggregates real estate listings. So if you want to sell or rent a flat, you put a listing out there. This listing gets geocoded, so it's put on the map, and if you want to buy this flat, you can search through a lot of listings. And they gave us the whole database because they wanted to see what's in the database. And we created these maps, and it showed clearly that even within the same city, there are districts which are rich and wealthy and expensive, and the ones that are not. And it can be just one street between those two areas. Then there's some data that just has to be presented on maps. For example, smog and air pollution is a very big problem in Poland right now. And this map here shows the air pollution in the European Union and some other countries. It's derived from the European Environmental Agency, and it clearly shows that Poland indeed has some bad air quality, just as has, for example, northern Italy. And if you would do a chart of it, it wouldn't be that interesting. It would hide a lot of this data, and people would not share it on social media. So another fun example about the map is you can actually create your own data. So on my Facebook page, I created a survey and asked people how do they call the person who gives them presents on Christmas. Because apparently in Poland, there's a lot of ways to call that person. I'm for example, from the Little Baby Jesus area, from the Upper Silesia, and it was natural to me that Little Baby Jesus gives me presents. But apparently in some places, it's Santa Claus, or Saint Nicholas, or Starman, or like in Little Angel, something like that. And a lot of people didn't know that. Actually, I knew, but a lot of people didn't. And they were so blown away that there are people who don't know Santa Claus. How does it happen? I mean, Santa Claus is in the commercials and stuff. Maps are also great to show some phenomena that you might not be aware of. For example, Poland is quite homogeneous. There's only Polish people in Poland, and there are very few foreigners, and the language is the same in every part of Poland. But actually, Poland, a long time ago, like in the medieval ages, it was more divided, let's say. And the reflection of this divide is the ending of city names. in the northern Poland, you have names that end up with ovo, for example, Pobierowo. And in the southern part of Poland, you have names that end up with ów, for example, Kraków. And it's something like you know, but not that much. And I made a map of that, and you can see that that divide is so sharp, it's so very clear, and a lot of people were blown away by this map as well. And to stay on the city names, it's a basic information. City name. What's interesting in a city name? I mean, there's city limits, and you have the city name, and that's all. You don't think about it. But sometimes you can think about it. And for example, this map shows it, that it's the very simple data that somehow turns out very interesting. So this is all the places in Europe that has a saint component in its name. For example, San Marino or Saint Nicholas, something like that. And as you can see, there is a lot of those places near Santiago de Compostela in Spain, because it's a region that was a center of pilgrimage in the medieval ages. And in Northern Europe, there is no such places because it's a Protestant culture, and Protestants, they don't have saints. There's also another story about maps, that they are great for displaying large data sets. So this is the one, actually, I was talking about already, the one from the real estate listings. There's over 600,000 real estate listings in Poland, and we mapped all of them on the map. And you can clearly see that there are some regional patterns, like, for example, Warsaw is very expensive, and so are the suburbs of Warsaw. And Silesia, which is the second largest metropolitan area in Poland, it is sprawled, so the prices are much lower. And sometimes maps just look beautiful. So this is the map that shows population of Poland, but usually population is shown in a way that uninhabited areas are green and the inhabited one are red. So I changed that color scale so that it looks a little like an image taken from the space, like at night. You know, like probably all of you know this beautiful picture Earth at Night by NASA. So the aim was to kind of imitate that. And actually on this map, even though the purpose of this map was to show something, let's say, beautiful, you can actually see some very interesting stuff. Like, if you look at Warsaw, Warsaw is where the heart is, by the way, if you don't know where Warsaw is. You can see that there are these lines of populated areas, and these lines are railway roads, because people move where the railway is, so they can quickly go to Warsaw to work. So, okay, maps are cool, but what's in it for your business? I mean, yeah, it's good for a Facebook fan page, but maybe for a news organization, it's not that well. Well, let me give you some stats first. Humans like visuals. We process much more faster than text, because it's the evolution. The evolution taught us. We had visuals long before we developed any language, any text. On social media, posts that have any images, they create a lot of more traffic. They have a lot of more reach. And it is particularly important because Facebook discriminates against links. So if you have a media outlet and you have a Facebook page of it, and you put a link, it's going to discriminate that post, because Facebook wants the traffic to stay on Facebook. But if you choose to add a photo to it, like a map, for example, then the promotion algorithm comes too, because people like to share photos, they like to share. They like to comment, they like this, and the promotion algorithm counts that, and eventually it will overcome the discrimination algorithm. And as you know, maps are big, beautiful, very colorful visuals. So they catch your eye, they catch your attention. Another reason why to do maps is that everyone does it. I mean, every major news organization already has some mappers in them, and particularly the New York Times is worth mentioning because they have 6 cartographers on their team, which is the same number of people as we have at our entire team. And they make some very beautiful maps. For example, this is a screenshot from an article about shadows in New York. In New York, access to sunlight is a major issue because of the skyscrapers. And they made the map to show how much the skyscrapers hide you from the sun. But apart from New York Times, also the Washington Post, the Guardian, the Zeit, Berlin Morgen Post, all those news outlets, they all use maps. Okay, so I've given myself a little leeway here. I assumed I already convinced some of you to do maps. So how do you do it? Well, it's pretty simple, but you need 3 things. You need GIS software. GIS stands for Geographic Information Systems. It's an environment that is used by so many people, meteorologists, environmentalists, politicians, your local piping station, everyone. And journalists can be one of them as well. Then you need geographic data, because obviously you need some data to show on the map. And then you need statistical data, because you need to populate that map with data that has some meaning. So there are 3 most common GIS softwares in the world. ArcGIS, it's commercial, so I don't recommend it to you because it's very expensive. Then there is QGIS. It's basically ArcGIS, but it's free and open source. This is what I use. Then there's R, which is cool. It's very cool. I love it. But for making maps, it requires too much coding. I mean, sometimes you have to do a map, you have to do it quickly, and R is a coding program. You have to code. It's not natively supportive to GIS, it's just an extension of R, so it requires some time. But if you do have that time, the outcome is awesome. So, like I said, I recommend QGIS because it's very simple. You can just click. You can also write code, but if you don't code, you can just click, and it's free. Obviously, well, I'm a map evangelist, so I talk a lot about how cool are maps, but there are some disadvantages to maps as well. So the most important disadvantage is the lack of data. And by lack of data, I mean lack of geographical data and statistical data. Lack of statistical data is a major problem also for doing charts, but the lack of geographic data, it's what makes charts more appealing to a news organization than maps. And to do a map, you need a shape file or a geodatabase, something like that. And those of you who are from the EU, you're lucky, because EU forces countries to publish this data free of charge. And in other countries, it may be kind of hard to gather those data. But there are also sites like OpenStreetMap that provide data for free. You can download it for free. And you can also update this website by yourself. Then there's the problem of low granularity of data. So for example, in Poland, there are 16 regions that divides into almost 400 counties and then almost 3,000 municipalities. So maps are great for doing counties and municipalities, but there is too few regions for the map to be interesting. 16 is just, if you have 16 observations, it's better to do a chart. And there is also a problem of beginner's mistake, and I see it a lot. There are some rules to cartography, like for example, if you want to show how many people live in a certain place, you should use a scale that only contains reds, for example, from a light red to a dark red. Dark red being the highest value, light red being the lowest value. And a lot of people, they use some strange sequential or diverging color scales, like for example, they would put yellow for low, green for medium, red for other. So that's a mistake. And another mistake is that on mobile it doesn't look that great. So that will be all from me. I suppose I wanted to finish early, but I overcame my time. Thank you.